Dun, 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 dun. So today we are analysing the tests that we did a couple of weeks ago, and surprisingly they're all really good on various different cement type surfaces. This one was the one we were expecting stuff to fall off, but even this one is holding itself really well. Obviously it's going to be a long-term test to see whether it really holds, but it's difficult to take the plasters off, and so that was one of the tests, to see whether it comes off in pieces, like in chunks, and also to see how strong it is against a cupboard falling onto it, for example, which is, you know, it's barely making a mark even with a heavy hammer piece. Another test is to brush it, just to see if it sands off easily. Even though we're doing another thin layer on top of this as a plaster, it's good to know whether it's dusting too much, because that means it's going to be a little bit weak to plaster onto. Another test we're looking for with regards to the clay content is the cracks, and I'm surprised that they barely have any cracks. Even this one. Well, this one is basically the one with the most cracks, and you can see they're tiny. Like, I would work with that if that was our best one. But we've got others which almost have no cracks whatsoever. So we're going to choose the one with less cracks. So it turned out as one earth, one sand. I've been calling the earth content the clay sometimes, so one clay, one sand, but actually it's earth because it's got clay and sand in it. And it's a little bit sandy, but it's not dusting, and it's rough, which actually is kind of what we want for the first layer. We want it to be a little bit rough, so it's got a good key for the thin plaster which is going on top. So we're going to do this by hand. This we're calling the thick layer, and the next one we're calling the final layer, although it's not actually the final, it's final plaster, I guess. But yeah, you can see it's really rough compared to the other ones with higher clay content, which are much smoother, so they won't give such a good key when doing the next layer. And because everyone here who's going to be doing this afterwards is kind of novice, let's say, it's best to have a really rough layer for them to work onto to give them the best chance of sticking on. So today we're going to be plastering the whole thing by hand, so getting it all to this. Well, we're not going to get it all, but we're going to start on our way to getting it all to that stage. And we're actually also probably going to be doing tests for the next layer, which is going to be the thin plaster layer which goes over the top of this. So we're just going to make the most of the day and do those tests on top now, so that in a week's time they are ready to go.